Hello and welcome to another video by Six Sages Gaming. Today we have for you the finals match at the Final Fantasy TCG Sephiroth promo hosted by Siege Games and Six Sages Gaming. And today we have a very special finals. It was the Welzbacher, and I'm sure I'm murdering that, I do apologize, brothers out of Columbus, I believe it was. They ended up meeting each other in the finals, so they actually offered to do a best of one, just simply because they had such a long drive to get back to, and I figured their brothers are probably gonna, kind of fight over who gets the foil one anyway, so I figured I'll let them get out of there, 30-40 minutes sooner and be able to play their game and get on with it. So they are going to be playing on the right. We have the Fire, Wind, Unblockable deck, and on the left we have a Earth, Water control base list. So you can see on the right here, starting with the Tifa, often going to be one of the better turn one plays just for that early aggressive route. Also playing Arch here, getting it back up in play. Not knowing what your opponent's playing against, that's actually a very fine start. But as you know, since he's playing against his brother, he probably just wants to get underneath and try to get enough points of damage where he can set up the turn to win by getting in 3-4 points of damage in one turn. Following up with the Cecil here is really just absolutely crushing because you don't want to lose your forwards, and you're not in a position where you can freely attack through a Cecil per se. So this is where we recommended playing the 3 Bahamut Fury and 3 Brynhildr, because cards like Cecil here can absolutely shut off your more aggressive plays. So you see one in just tapping for a Yuffie here. 3000 power cannot be blocked by cost 3 or greater. And then a red mage. So in theory here, playing the red mage is even fine because it lets Cecil not be able to block. However, we're still in this position where if we use our attackers, they're often going to die because he takes point damage, gets to deal 5000 damage or something, and then can just freely kill our attackers. So attacking here, getting a point of damage, flipping black mage. Obviously he's going to be following up with something here, but even if he didn't, with say more than backups, Cecil still being able to threaten dealing 5k damage to your opponent's forwards can be quite devastating. So, and that's exactly what happened here. Just played 2 backups, trying to get his resources put into play and try to get, accelerate his game plan. And then on the right, we're just stuck with having this Yuffie and Tifa in play, which, sure, if there was any other forward, it could freely attack, get in 2 points of damage and feel great, but losing them both with Cecil is going to certainly going to make you feel terrible. So you're pretty much just waiting to draw a Brynhildr or Bahamut Fury here if you can. So here he's just reading the card again. And keeping in mind, if you were to say attack with Tifa first, Cecil's ability just says deal that damage to one of your forwards. So you could attack with Tifa and then lose Yuffie. So it looks like we just had a pass here. He attacked his Cecil again. Again, this Cecil is really just going to go absolutely uncontested until he draws something that's going to help him get his way out of this. And we're going to have a Vanille, which is another just great value card. When it dies, he can remove Hecaton Care from his deck, put it in the remove from game zone, and she just comes back into play dulled. So the blocker that just keeps on blocking. And it looks like here he's trying to pay 9 to go for a Bahamut. We catch that one of the cards in his hand was Onion Knight. We're not going to be able to see it, but we will see him play it here in a minute. So, that is the good and bad thing about light and dark cards, is that they're great to play and be able to have flexibility in what decks that they can go into, but sometimes you will be stuck with having those cards in your hand, and you won't just be able to get to play your turn as you'd wish. If he was able to play the Bahamut here, get both those on board, Vanille wouldn't come back either, because it would never go to the graveyard. It would just go straight to remove from game zone. It would allow him to get in 2 more points of damage and be more aggressive. So here he just plays the Onion Knight and says pass. And we do apologize for the camera angle. We couldn't, with the lighting in the shop, there's not really a better angle that we could have got. I'd love to see what else is in their hands, but unfortunately don't have that luxury. So flips 2 more cards, hits a Tifa and a Black Mage. And again, absolutely just winning in the damage race now, and knowing again that there's a Cecil to protect, so to speak, can certainly make things better for him. So this turn, we're very likely going to be seeing that Bahamut play that we should have seen last turn, but now that we hopefully don't have a light card in our hand, we get to remove 2 things. And again, the Bahamut, again, being a great card, but it can certainly feel bad that you're stuck with these cards, and you're like, well, I want to hold all these cards. And I think at one point he's holding Aerith, which to a point sure doesn't do much for him at this point, but it's like, I'm losing 4 cards to play this Bahamut, and I'm hoping that I can then draw myself out of this situation. Now, again, if it's going to win you the game on the spot, that's absolutely fine, and where I recommend playing 2 instead of 3, because you don't ever really want to see the Bahamut early game. You only want to see it mid to late game when it's either going to win you the game or get him to 1 point of damage, because you are losing a lot of resources in the process to be able to play that card. And you get the sense here, which he's very heavily considering, and they were actually doing a bit of table talking, saying it's like, all right, we're going to play the Bahamut, what are you getting rid of? It really is a difficult decision when you're already behind. You're not sure how much this is going to help you stabilize, and your forwards still do not match up favorably with your opponents. It's really not the best time to be using Bahamut. You could do an option where you're playing a bunch of Evokers in a deck to try to ramp out your resources more quickly, and then you're only paying 2 to, or discarding 2 to play the rest of the cost for Bahamut, and that would be fine, but and this is interesting what he's discarded. Bahamut can certainly do a lot for you, but it is a high payment, high reward kind of plan that you're going to be going for. So removing the guy to get rid of his blocker, and then removing Cecil, notably just so he can attack and not have to worry about losing all of his forwards. So we're going to go in here, see a series of attacks. And hitting that Leviathan on the 4th one certainly hurts. When your opponent had just used Bahamut, basically had cleared their hand and only has 1 card left, it can certainly feel pretty terrible bouncing with other cards because they don't want to lose any of the tempo that they have. You know, we brought it up to a tied game at this point, but with the bounce here, it's certainly not favorable if we get to see a decent forward out of the Earth Water deck. Letting your opponent untap, and I think he had 3 cards in hand at this point as the Earth Water player, it's certainly not a good feeling for you. But he's up to 4 points of damage, just needs to get in 3, and hopefully we can find a way to close in those last few points of damage for the Unblockable deck. So it looks like a pass here. Vanille is still on the table again. Just a great utility blocker that's going to keep coming back for him. We're going to see what else he plays on this turn. And again, as you would imagine, just anytime you get to play an EX burst for free, and it's something like Leviathan or Odin where it's going to punish your opponent and make them lose resources, it is absolutely going to be a great feeling for you that you get to burn through the resources. But as the player on the punishing end of that, never feels great. And another Cecil coming down. So the hope here of being 4 damage to 5 really just needs to hit a Brynhildr or Bahamut Fury. Find a very quick answer for that. Don't lose any tempo. And then hopefully win in the next turn. Of course, that is the magical Christmas land of being able to draw all the cards perfectly when you need them. Again, there is a point here where you could use Red Mage and make Cecil unable to block if he spent a card from his hand. But even then, if he was at 5 points of damage, he's not going to lose because he just has Cecil's effect, kill the other attacker, so he sits at 6. So for the Unblockable player, especially when you start to get behind, and this is the same difficulties that I had with the deck, the deck is not well equipped to come back from, being on the backpedaling option. In the next set, we do get the 9k Tifa, which can help a bit. Here he's going to play Aerith and just untap his Archer. I forgot the trigger, but even going forward, when we're going to have like Zemus, which will be great, don't get me wrong, and a few other things, it's not going to be the deck that we need it to be in terms of being able to get back into the game once you start to fall behind. Bahamut can only do so much for you. You can obviously get free Brynhildrs or Bahamut Furies off EX Burst if you're lucky, But those are certainly not things that you want to count on when you're trying to build these decks and find a way to have a plan B, or at least a way to catch you back into the game. So it looks like that was a Geomancer setup, which tap, look at the top card, you may put it to the bottom of your deck. It's great for one, filtering your draws like you did there, or setting up EX bursts if you're just in a pinch. And setting up meaning that you can see the top card, if it's not an EX burst, you just mill it to the bottom and hope for the best with the next card. And again, Cecil has been doing an absurd amount of work in this matchup, being a 7K, being bigger, being able to threaten to ping his guys. Card is wonderful in this matchup, and Cecil is absolutely a card with Opus 2 that we would expect to see more play, just because there's going to be more aggressive decks coming out again. And Cecil is just really great at countering those. So he's paying 4 for a Waka. Just another card that when it attacks, it gets to buff your guys by 1,000 for each 40 control. So in any one of these, obviously AK being bigger, but he can just pump his guys, make sure that they're going to be able to swing through that bit of damage, and then not have to worry about any kind of issues with being able to block, because he can't really block favorably. So as we see here on the right from the Unblockable player, it's just a terrible spot to be in. He's already at 6 damage. Again, unless he had some miracle land where he was able to draw more Bahamut's and have the resources for it, it's about the only thing that'd be able to get him back in this game at this point. But once you have to start chump blocking away your forwards in a pretty much aggressive only type of deck, you know that you're in a losing spot. So it would have been great if we would have seen more summons, but that one Bahamut, as we mentioned very early on, had to burn a lot of resources and ultimately didn't get us back in the game. So it looks like we're going to attack with Yuffie here just to get in a point of damage. He's going to trigger Cecil to deal 5,000 damage or something. Hopefully he points, or there's some kind of verbal communication that's going to happen here. But then he's ultimately just going to use Planet Protector to protect it from the trigger. So again, just understand that Aerith is such a key card when you have effects like that that you need to negate, and that not a lot of decks have a great way to interact with. And it's just a great catch-all backup to be able to protect you from both summons and abilities, as well as having these surprise blockers out of nowhere. If you're playing a lot of 8 or 9 Ks and want to be aggressive while being able to threaten holding it back up, which can be great as well. So Aerith, another card that is absolutely going to continue to see play and be a staple in a lot of these decks. And when you get to live the dream and untap 3 backups by playing her and getting a pit layer for free, basically, is certainly a good feeling. So here we're going to see a pass. Again, when you're staring down Waka, Cecil, and Vanille, it's not going to feel that great. So ideally you just want to use Waka, pump Cecil. All your team is bigger. You don't have to really worry about what he might have. And you'll see that he does have Bahamut Fury, but it might not be enough to get him out of this. So I want to say thank you very much to both of the brothers for making it to the finals tonight. They did a wonderful job, and I want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to everyone who came out to the event. We had 24 players, which is absolutely insane, and I would not have imagined that we got that many players. And we're going to have even bigger prize pool and a lot better prize support from the next event. Hopefully going to be doing this about once a month, and we do have a couple more videos that we're going to be putting out for you guys. So again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you so much for all the players that came out to the event. Again, we posted all the deck lists on Six Sages Gaming. There's a few that we're still waiting on. The Golbez deck, the Solution 9, is on our YouTube channel, so check that out there. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Thank you very much guys. We'll catch you on the next Six Sages Gaming. Have a good one.